Hello, welcome to Video Mania 2. I'm the man behind the counter, Duncan, and today we're going to talk about the importance of physical media in today's market. Now, I know many great YouTube channels have discussed this topic many times, and they've all brought up great points. I'm going to go over a couple of those, and then I'm going to go over why physical media is so important to me as a collector. Now, the first thing is, let's say a movie like Towns of the Eagle, something a film I love very much. There's no streaming service carrying it right now. It's not on Tubi or Amazon, and I couldn't buy it, even if I wanted to buy it digitally on Vudu or Amazon or something like that. And, let's say I did buy it. Let's say some rights issues come up, because it's kind of in fine print that you usually don't read when you purchase something. Let's say I paid $20, and then one day, a year or two later, you're thinking, hey, I own it forever. And you're looking down and it's not there anymore. Like, oh, there were some rights issues and we lost the rights to it even though you paid for it. You really don't own it. Where now I own this. Now there's still copyright law. I can't just do public exhibitions, stuff like that. But I own this. I can watch it whenever I want. It's mine forever. So in that respect. So you have that thing going. Also, streaming, the picture quality is very good. HBO Max, soon to become Max. I've watched a lot of movies on there, and it's a great picture quality. But still, a 4K scan, still on a physical copy, is still the best picture you can get. Like the black levels, stuff like that. There's no compression issue like with streaming. And also, another advantage of the physical copy, as long as you got electricity and a functioning TV and 4K player, you can watch the movies anytime you want. You don't have to worry the Wi-Fi goes out, which mine doesn't go out too much, but it does happen. You're in the middle of the movie, and out you go. Not here. You're always going to have it. Now I'm going to go into a different aspect, into why I think physical media is really so important. When I was growing up, there were all kinds of mom and pop video rentals, and then Blockbuster, came along too. And thing is the hot new releases were always rented out, and that's was frustrating. But it gave you a chance. You turn that negative into a positive. You could go into the back catalog and find some obscure thing. That's how I discovered Towns of the Eagle. This was the original artwork. The latest Van Damme release was rented out, and I was looking. I was in the mood for a martial arts movie, and then there was Towns of the Eagle sitting there. So I held it in my hand. I read the synopsis of the movie, and I saw some still shots from the movie on the back. I'm like, okay, this is a martial arts movie. So I rented it. We watched it with my friends. We had a blast. I loved it. So you discovered something because there was a story, and you held it in your hand. And here's where that relationship is important, because if you're on Vudu or something, you might skip over something because you're just like, scroll, moving along, and you may just skip over something, and maybe it was good because you can click on it and read a brief synopsis and see who's in it, but you don't get any like production stills or anything like that. Now sometimes you can click on a trailer, but are you really going to do that when you're just scrolling along? You just get in that habit of spinning, and you're like, I can't find anything. And you might have missed out on something good, whereas if you were in front of it, you picked it up, you stopped for a second, you looked at it. It's the same way. And this may not be the best analogy, but it's the only one I can come up with. It's like if you're on a dating app, like I say, I was trying to meet a girl to go on a date with, and I'm just swipe, and then I'm getting the habit, no. You might skip over somebody that would have been cool. And, somebody you can meet up with, but she's not there in front of you. You're sitting on your couch with your phone in your hand, just scrolling away, skipping over something. And so, wouldn't it be better, like, when you're in a setting somewhere and you meet them and you talk, let's say I talk to her for a minute, get some idea of what she's about. She's in front of you. You're talking to her. She's responding to you. You ask questions. You don't get that just looking at a screen in front of you. You're just swiping. You're just like, up next. And you could miss out on something cool. And it's the same way with movies. When you're scrolling along on Vudu or Amazon or whatever your streaming service is, you're just like, no. And then you just get in that habit of just keep on scrolling. You might skip over something you might love. And it's the same way. So you got to have that kind of relationship, to stop and take a look at it for a minute instead of just on a screen just scrolling away. And another aspect of the relationship is, let's say when you have a movie in your hand, you get to see who produced it, or directed it or write it. Maybe, you get more familiar with it. There's a little bit more, see who the supporting cast is, because you don't go see that when you're just scrolling away. And when I grew up, I'm going to go into music here for a little bit. I was into Def Leppard and stuff, and I would buy the record, the cassette actually, in my hand, and I'd look who the band members were, look over the lyrics of the songs, really find out what this art was all about, and then my interpretation of what the song may have been about, and you form that relationship. I'm like, this is who wrote the song, and these are the lyrics. Here's who wrote the lyrics, and you form kind of a relationship with that art. And people, Def Leppard still sells out stadiums to this day because people had a different relationship with the music. And it's the same way with movies. You stopped, you held it in your hand, you looked at it, you learned about who had a hand in making it, all that kind of stuff. And also when you buy a physical copy, which some digital copies come with it now, you learn about what went into the making of the movie, the special features. There's a more tangible relationship with that. Whereas, a stream, you're just scrolling, click, boom, and go. And then it's just kind of passing. In the same way with music, like now, today's artists, you just hear a song, that's catchy, but you don't know who they are or what the lyrics are, deep inside. You don't dive in to see what that song's really about. A lot of people, it's just somebody on a laptop came up with some beats and a few other things. They brought some singer to sing over it, and it's catchy. You throw it in your earbuds when you're working out. There's no real connection there. And I think the part with today's art, people are missing out on that. And then here's another thing with physical media. I do this thing when it comes into the Atlanta area called the Highlander Sword Experience. And Adrian Paul from the Highlander television show takes you through some sword choreography. And it's really cool. And I was a big fan of the Highlander TV show. So at the end of the day, when we all got to meet him, what did I do? I had a physical copy of Highlander Season 1. I had him sign it. Not only do I have this Season 1 forever, I have all the seasons, but it's signed. It's a more personal thing in my library. And I've done the sword experience twice. Like the first time I met him, Highlander Endgame, I had a physical copy. He signed it for me. You have that sign. They can't sign your phone where you have a digital copy of it. So you have that aspect too. And it helps. It does so many things. So there's a different relationship of going through the library, having it in your hand. When I had some of my best friends over, they visited me from New Jersey last year. They came over and they went through my collection, and they said it was kind of like being like in a rental store again. They were like, I was like, pick out some movies we'll watch later. And they got to scroll through, pull the DVD or 4K or Blu-ray out of the hand, take a look at it, see what it's about, see who's in it, really learn about it, make their selection. Then we watch it later, and a lot of films they loved. So you have that, and we just didn't scroll through stuff because you're just like, hey, what was that? What? And then you lose track of things. You don't have that with the physical media. You have it forever in the best presentation possible, and you may get it signed one day if you go to a convention or whatever, and you're like, hey, I got something they can sign. But I just think it's a much better experience. You get more out of the art that way. That's just my opinion on all of it. So let me know in the comments below. Do you stream a lot? Do you think physical media is still important? Do you have some signed stuff? Let me know any of that in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.